Accomplished producer Lisa Lew Brennan is sharing her inspiring story with us, starting with, being born and raised here, raised in a family of 6 children, but everyone's so accomplished. Did you feel any pressure growing up that you had to keep up?
We had, my father was an amazing man. My mother, they're amazing parents, married 63 years. They just, like I think a lot of Filipino families and parents, they want to inspire, you to do the best, and that was what it was like in our home. So I think it was easy to, and they were also very loving. So they always created that environment. It was a very creative environment, very supportive environment. So I don't think it wasn't hard. It was always a pretty joyous environment.
So you enjoyed your childhood?
So much fun, and always so much support for anything you did. He would be drawing, your projects with you, or helping you write that, that speech that you might need. He was my father was a very good writer and a very good speech writer. So he was the mayor and all.
Yeah, he's a politician and a
lawyer, community leader. So. They were very much behind. They loved theater.
And it's no surprise that you grew up, you accomplished everything. It seems to me that everything you put your hands in prospered. You wanted to join the pageant and you won. You wanted to do this and then you did that, and now the Emmys. And it's like you're in any field that you put your heart into, you're accomplishing things. How big of a support were your parents? Because Filipino parents, they don't necessarily support
the arts.
The arts, exactly.
You have to be a doctor, attorney,
nurse,
a nurse, or accountant, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's so funny. But I think my parents have that, aside from being an attorney, because his father was an attorney. I think they loved the arts. My mother was her family owned a dance studio in Hawaii, and her father was, stepfather was Filipino, and they performed in the USO. That's how she was in the Philippines. So I think there was a great background for the arts. My father was in drama at UP, and they were very passionate about the arts. So I also think it's so important to have both sides of your world sort of explored. And makes you see things differently when you're able to express yourself in both ways.
So having been raised like that, what would you tell parents out there that are still thinking about more stable careers or more guaranteed income for their livelihood for their children?
I think you have to let people find their passion, because ultimately it's what they do for the rest of their life. It's going to be what makes them a success. It was so funny watching some of the talent on Rich Crazy Asians. Did you see some of the interviews being done?
Right.
Was it who's the Harvard grad? Was it one of the who said she kept telling her parents that she was doing something else.
Right.
she ends up being the star of the show. But you really have to, I think, let people follow their passions. And that doesn't mean not pursue an excellent education. I think all of us agree with that. You have to have the base. You have to have a solid base of an education. And I think college is great as well. But
what about you? You said follow your passion. There's a lot, especially in LA, as you know, struggling actors, people in production. They want to make it. The filmmakers, they're struggling, but they're pursuing their passion. And you're one of those who made it. And let's face it, it's a very competitive world. There's no guarantees. Even if you land something big now, it can be gone.
It's true.
Right?
Nothing's forever.
Yeah.
You have to keep your next best thing is your next best. You're only as good as your last best thing.
Exactly.
Right?
So
that's true.
What would be your advice to them from someone who's made it and are still there?
Well, listen, we still have projects on the table now. But the exciting thing is you never know what's going to come up next. I mean, the world there's so many great things that can happen tomorrow. We are always looking at ideas, and so many things come across our table, or we see them and we pursue them. And then you pull them together, and then in our case, we have to pitch them, or we collaborate. And the world is your oyster, really. It's really up to you to make the next thing happen, and that's in any field. If you're an attorney, it's to find your cases, or create a reputation where people do come to you. And it really is. It's really all up to you in any career. It's not just creative. So, it's really up to you to create your next opportunity. But the world is full of opportunity. Are you ready for it?
Right.
Do you see them, or can you find them? Because
Right.
it has to work both ways.
So, what about for you? If you hadn't ended up being such a successful producer, what would you have been? What could you have been?
I think we talked about this earlier, and I was always interested, if I had learned a couple more languages, the diplomatic corps, because I always love cultures and the relationships between them, and I think maybe that's because my parents,
Right.
my mother was here, and my father was in that world as well, and so we have so many mixed races here, and I also just love I love that I love politics. I love the international. How international our world is, and that's one area I was interested in. I think what I do now encompasses a lot of things. Anyway,
And it's almost like it's almost service
it
to
is.
people.
It is,
Right?
reaching people, telling a story. I think in news and in unscripted, you are really trying to reach people by a story. There's always a morality tale in it, and in some ways, you're always trying to reach people about something. Hopefully, the right message, or what can happen, So, I have always loved every story that we've been blessed with or entrusted with to tell,
And mostly
So-
crime stories. If there's
That's what we were talking about earlier.
If there's
yeah.
one thing that you learned about life in all the stories that you've researched, been entrusted with, or have told, what is it?
That's a good question. What I've seen most is it's, love your, tell everybody how much you care for them as much as possible.
The people around you.
Always. And also, it's unbelievable how people, what people can overcome through what they've been through and how strong they can be. And for those who survived, their stories are unbelievable and so inspiring, just like your show. So inspiring,
Right.
so touched by them. And so that's why they have really been such a big part of our lives on all the shows, what they can do to either help people, to cautionary tales to help people, make sure that they are more careful about their choices,
Right.
number one, and also to always never miss the opportunity to tell people how much they love them in their lives, and also that the survivors are unbelievable, and how they won't let anything knock them down and continue despite what's happened to them or what they've lost.
Right.
And those are important tales to tell to everybody for whatever is going on in their lives.
So it's about passion, conviction, which is what
Yes. Yeah.
you've anchored yourself in as well, and that's why you
lot of
continue
fun.
to soar. Thank you for
Well,
joining
thank you.
us.
It's
and
been so much
more-
fun, and look at you. It's so exciting.
Thank
This
you.
is Leo, right?
This is Leo.
He'll be joining us out here in December.
Hopefully
That's
soon.
exciting. So exciting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And you are so
to
inspiring. So thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed being
Thank
here.
you. More power.
Yeah, thank you. You as well.